A 12-metre long corrugated metal box is well on its way to becoming a creative studio space here in Manchester. In the last episode, we tackled all the external work, including surface rust treatment and creating doors and windows. Now it's time to take on the interior construction, including plywood-lined walls, an insulated floor and smooth ceiling. The start of the next big phase of the container build is commencing. We are inside, very, very excited to be working inside the container, not outside the container. We're about to build the floor. I think this is really going to be a stage that moves really quickly. And yeah, it just means that we finally feel like we're seeing progress, because it's almost coming up to a year since we started this project. So it's a bit painful to still be standing inside a metal box. The floor of the container is currently made from wooden boards placed on top of metal I-beams, which is drafty and thin. To ensure the studio is as thermally efficient as possible, we're insulating the floor with rigid kingspan foam wedged between a thick flooring structure.
This is Bryony here doing a massive jigsaw puzzle, basically trying to figure out how to use some of this wood that we've been donated by the lovely Lynbeck. Trying to, help save the planet and reuse and all that kind of stuff. Bit of a soggy one, but it's very exciting to get the floor in.
Most buildings use a standardised construction method for walls called stud walling, but this is all new to us. Today we are learning how to make stud walls. It's very exciting because it feels like we're moving really quickly, and that's our first one. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The basic premise is to create a series of rectangular grids which you can attach the final wall surface to. After initially grappling with all the various parts and pieces like studs and noggins and sills, we get into a good rhythm and the walls go up quite quickly. The walls are in, but the scale of this conversion project is really sinking in. We're 1 year into the build and still so far from the finish. So, Dad and George are outside cracking on with the container build, and I think I'm just having one of those low moments where I realise the magnitude of a project like this. I was awake at 6 a.m. this morning, just kind of going through in my head all of the stages that still need to be done. And just the realism of knowing that even though it feels like we're far ahead on the stud work, actually, we're still got a whole lot of stuff to do. Yeah, it's just a weird feeling, managing a business, having huge moments of doubt about whether what you're doing makes sense financially, emotionally, physically. It's a lot of pressure. Deciding how to insulate a metal shipping container is a real challenge. It gets roasting in summer and freezing in winter. There aren't really many options on the market that offer us a high thermal performance without the risk of trapping water vapour inside, and this would eventually rust the metal. Our solution is isonine, a form of spray foam insulation which coats the entire metal surface in one continual bubbly green blanket. So behind me, they're doing the spray insulation. It's 2:15, they've almost finished. Looks like a pretty tricky and painful job because it's so hot in there and it smells quite toxic. So I don't envy the guys doing it, but they're doing a really good job. The insulation goes in quickly, encasing our stud walls in a rigid, cosy skin. As summer rears its welcome head, we're turning to the outdoors temporarily to extend the gravel patio in front of the studio. Do you like being a bricklayer, George?
I've not laid a single brick yet, but I think it's my new career.
Walls and floor in, and it's now time for the first fix, which basically means all the electrical cables can go up. We take our time planning out all the possible switch and socket and even Ethernet locations, but ultimately we opt to bring in a professional electrician who can install all of the cables in the correct way. He does it way quicker than we could ever do anyway. To build the ceiling, we're opting for MDF panels, which will be joined into one smooth surface. I do manage to pick up a comical injury along the way though. Okay, so we are making the ceiling, and as you can see, I've managed to get MDF shavings in my eye. Brilliant. So Dad and I are 2 people, 3 eyes, a few panels down. We've developed a bit of a system and we're cracking on. So yesterday and today we've been cracking on. Basically we're mounting a series of MDF panels, and we've started to fill the junctions. We've also started to put some reinforcement, because that's where we're going to be mounting infrared heaters with some lights on them. And George and Bruford are now working on what we're calling the shadow gap, which is basically a tiny little 50mm drop down of the wall, where when the wall panels are hung, there's going to be a little gap at the top. Summer is filled with other projects, and the studio build goes on to the back burner yet again. It's finally time to say goodbye to the bare insulated walls. Feels like the spray foam was installed so long ago now, and we're ready to swap it out for meters and meters of lovely birch plywood. Just spent $1,500 on plywood, woo! Scary, but really exciting. Means that we're about to do the walls. George is away, filming a documentary in Ukraine when the sheets are finally delivered. After some deliberation, screwing the ply panels onto the studwork just isn't an option, and instead we adopt a fastening method called French cleats.
We are getting ready to fit the walls, so we're using a weird French cleat aluminium technique. It's very complex, so we are doing all the prep work now.
We buy 100 metres of angled metal strips which can be attached in pairs, one side on the studwork and one side on the back of the plywood. In theory, these 2 metal strips slot together perfectly to form a French cleat. The friction and gravity of the connection holds the whole assembly in place, resulting in a beautiful screwless finish. But the reality is much more complex, as each of our stud posts aren't completely aligned or square. We have to cut and adjust each timber post by hand before dropping the ply sheet down onto the bracket, which is taking ages and is a real frustration.
1, 2, 3, up, in, and I'm ready to go down.
Me too.
Down.
Okay, that sounded good.
Yeah, that sounds very good.
The walls are in, but the jury is still out. Was the pain of the French cleats worth it?
So it looks like that's it. We've done the back wall. Many days, lots of frustration, one broken back, and I absolutely hate French cleats.
Whilst one end of the studio will eventually house a kitchen, the other will include a gear store, so we install some shelves and door surrounds. Bruford and I are in the container and we are doing a really big job. We are varnishing and treating the plywood walls. The walls feel really smooth. We just sanded them with the orbital sanders, and we're now using a product called Osmo to treat the walls. So next step is rolling. As we start the process of sanding and varnishing, we really realise it's just such a beautiful material. As winter sets in, George is getting going on building the 3 integrated lights and infrared heaters which will illuminate and warm the space. Suspended from the ceiling, the plan is that these low-profile units will save us on heating bills, but also free up floor space. Yay! Are you happy with the light, George?
I am very happy with the light.
Bruford, what say you?
I think you've designed a waiting room for heaven.
I think that sounds negative.
Oh, sorry.
Here's our spaceship. It's Sunday morning and we've got progress in the form of lights. These lights are looking amazing. George has created a 2-in-1 infrared heater panel with LEDs installed and we're just really happy with them. It's a big push now. We've got the move-in date in 1 week. We're not going to be finished. It's going to be very grand designs and we're going to move into a half-finished building, but it's looking good. There's a leak, but the walls are gorgeous. There's no kitchen, but it's warm. So yeah, swings and roundabouts, but excited to get in here. Despite small steps backwards, like cutting up the floor to get our leaky door sill fixed, the overall feeling is one of progress. Another winter is arriving, but this time we're inside a warm and cosy space. It's starting to look and feel more like a studio and less like a building site, especially with the plywood walls and some lighting installed. This third chapter has been a mammoth undertaking, but we're on the home straights now. The next and final stage is to build the interiors, including the kitchen. Broaden HQ is feeling real.